Hello, and thank you for watching this May 30th weather update, brought to you by Agrible, the makers of Morning Farm Report. My name is Eric Snodgrass, and I'm a senior atmospheric scientist and co-founder of Agrible. First and foremost, we at Agrible would like to wish you and your families a happy and safe Memorial Day. For many, this Memorial Day weekend was a weekend for cleaning up after last week's repeated rounds of severe thunderstorm activity in the Central Plains. This tornado, which formed near Dodge City, Kansas, was caught on film by MPZ chasers. This was one of over 158 reported tornadoes last week. This one produced EF4 damage with 180-mile-per-hour winds. It was on the ground for over 90 minutes and tracked 26 miles. Now, in addition to tornadoes like this, there were also almost 900 reports of severe hail across the Great Plains. So why all of the severe weather? Well, the jet stream was set up in a near-perfect configuration to prime the atmosphere over the Great Plains for severe thunderstorm development. A large trough was in position across the southern Rockies for most of the week, while a ridge in the flow built over the central and eastern United States. This ridge was the result of warm, moist, and unstable air that was transported north on southerly surface winds. This moisture and these winds fueled the repeated development of thunderstorms across this area. The jet stream added additional help by bringing in cold air aloft and increasing the wind shear. Meteorologists look for these shortwave troughs to eject eastward from the Rocky Mountains and initiate the development of a surface low-pressure system. So with this bit of knowledge, keep an eye out for flow just like this for when the forecast calls for the potential for severe weather across the central United States. As of Sunday night, this pattern had also repeatedly dropped several inches of rain across the central United States last week from Texas to the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, and from Colorado all the way to Illinois. Texas was once again the hardest hit state, with some locations receiving over 10 inches and some local regions seeing as much as 20. This same region has been hit repeatedly since last October, and it is having a big impact on ag across the state. Now in the Central Plains, we are expecting quality issues with the wheat crop, and there will be nitrogen losses for the freshly planted corn crop. Also, there will be a lot of replanting of low-lying wet spots once this dries out, and for the acreage that is yet to be planted with soybeans, these rains will continue to delay the process. Shifting our focus away from the middle part of the United States, there is one other feature I want to point out to you, and that is the accumulation of the rain across the coastal Carolinas. On Saturday, Tropical Storm Bonnie, a weak tropical storm with wind speeds of only 40 miles per hour, made its landfall. Despite feeding off of the warm waters of the Gulf Stream, from satellite, Bonnie appeared as a disorganized, asymmetrical grouping of tropical thunderstorms. This system's main circulation center was southeast of its most active thunderstorms, which is why it doesn't look like a typical tropical storm on satellite. However, this image does show how powerful the storms were on the northwest side of Bonnie's center. Notice the gravity waves spreading out from the overshooting top of this tall thunderstorm. That thunderstorm complex transported a lot of moisture into the South Carolina coast. As last Sunday arrived, some locations received over 7 inches of rain, causing some local flooding. This picture shows the flooding on I-95 between Hilton Head and Savannah. So, what does the next week hold in terms of precipitation? This animation shows the next 10 days of precipitation. The Great Plains are in for another round of storms on Monday, Memorial Day. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center has this region on the lookout for the potential for more severe thunderstorm activity. Now, by Tuesday and Wednesday, these showers and storms push east through the eastern Corn Belt. But after Thursday, the forecast calls for a few days of drying out. Now, a weak low-pressure system will move across Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan later in the week, but most of the plains will get a few days to dry out. One thing is for sure, though. Texas will not get a break from the action this week. Here's the 7-day precipitation forecast. Nearly the entire state of Texas is in for a lot of rain this week. As for temperatures, let's just step back and look at the patterns in the temperature field over the next 10 days. What we can see is that the warmth in the central United States from last week survives a few more days this week before cooler air knocks daytime temperatures back into the 70s with overnight lows in the 50s for a lot of the central United States. This cooler pattern hangs on for a few days before the warmth surges northward again in the plains. However, June 3rd through the 10th will generally have cooler than average temperatures in the eastern two-thirds of the country as the jet stream shifts towards a ridge across the west coast. The west coast will warm up as this pattern takes hold, and we will have to watch this very closely for how this pattern moves and breaks down toward the middle and end of June. Early July heat is a major stressor on the corn crop, and we will be watching the long-range forecasts very closely for any signs of untimely hot temperatures in the next 6 weeks. Well, as always, we at Agrible bring you the latest and best weather forecast information through our morning farm report so that you can efficiently plan your operations. We thank you for your attention and hope you look forward to our next weather video update. Thank you.